Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Odd Fellows Oddcast. And today joining us is Dr. Henry Jampel, who is of the Wilmer Eye Institute of Johns Hopkins University. And the reason for his invitation to our podcast is that the Independent Order of Odd Fellows contributes a great amount to the research that they do and all of the things that are done at Wilmer Eye Institute with Dr. Jampel. And we just wanted to give him an opportunity to talk about what it is that, the great things that are being done. And so that we can all feel really great about the support that we're putting behind Dr. Jampel and the Wilmer Eye Institute. So welcome, Dr. Jampel. I appreciate you taking the time to come here and give us an opportunity to hear about what it is that you're been doing and what you will be doing in the future. So thank you and welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Okay, so I just wanted to give you the opportunity to give us a bit of the history of the Odd Fellows, like when did it start? I mean, kind of give us a little bit of a history of the Odd Fellows relationship with supporting the Wilmer Eye Institute of Johns Hopkins.
Well, sure. But first, I'm sure everyone knows this, but I just want to make sure that the Odd Fellows in the United States started in Baltimore, Maryland, not more than a mile from where the Wilmer Eye Institute sits today.
Wow, I did not know that.
And
that's great.
Only 300 yards from where my office is Thomas Wildey's statue, the statue that Odd Fellows come from all over the world when they get to Baltimore to see. So in terms of the Wilmer Institute, and the Odd Fellows. The red letter date was December 20th, 1963. And I'm not sure of all the details and reasons that the Odd Fellows decided to be so generous to the Wilmer Institute, but it probably had something to do with the chairman at the time, Ed Maumeny, who is extremely good at persuading others that the Wilmer Institute was a great place and that if we had sufficient funds, the sky was the limit. Mm-hmm. And so when the Odd Fellows endowed that chair back in 1963, it was only the second endowed chair at Wilmer. And currently we have more than 50. So it is just a very old and prestigious chair to have. And so I'm obviously delighted to be the third person to be the Odd Fellows Professor of Ophthalmology. The first professor, the inaugural, was Dr. Art Silverstein, who was a PhD immunologist who made many important contributions in basic science that helped lead to the possibility of doing corneal transplants, a very important sight-restoring surgery that we do today. And he served into the 1980s and was succeeded by Dick W. Richard Green, who was probably the most famous ocular pathologist of his time. Although Dick did have an MD, he never saw patients, but his correlations of what he found in the laboratory with what we found in patients was extremely valuable. Upon his retirement, I was delighted to become the third Odd Fellows Professor of Ophthalmology, and that was back in 2006. Very nice induction ceremony, a great time. And I will say that of all the chairs that we have at the Wilmer Institute, clearly the Odd Fellows chair is the one with the most interesting name. And so, as I'm sure it is for the members of the Odd Fellows, I enjoy trying to explain why I am the Odd Fellow. And I understand that the explanation for why the Odd Fellows are called the Odd Fellows is somewhat up to debate, but I have the party line if I need to use it. So,
Great. Now, have you become a member of Odd Fellows yourself?
I am not an Odd Fellow.
Okay.
But
Well,
I wear I wear the title proudly.
So if you're interested.
If I was interested, I am well acquainted with the local chapters here. Yeah, absolutely, and
Okay.
know the
Very
people
good.
as well.
Okay, well, awesome. So can you tell us about, and you did hint at some of the major achievements that Wilmer Eye Institute has accomplished, the corneal transplant research that made it possible. Can you tell us, like, like to what degree we have helped with that kind of achievement? And are there any other achievements that you could speak to that the Odd Fellows have, contributed greatly towards?
So, I think it's best to think of it as a communal effort, and in no way would we take dollars from one place and restrict it to simply one particular project. A dangerous thing to do because you do all these different things and 1 out of 10 pans out. So I think it would be fair to give the Odd Fellows some credit, except for the first two things that I'm going to mention, since those occurred before the money came in, so that probably couldn't be the case. But if I were going to go through a list of maybe half a dozen contributions that the Wilmer Institute made out of many others that I could choose from, I would highlight the following. So back in the 1950s, preemie infants used to go blind at a very high rate, and no one really knew why. But one of our faculty members, Arnold Patz, postulated that perhaps the treatment that the preemies were receiving actually contributed to the blindness, that is, the oxygen that they received in the neonatal nursery. And in fact, he was able to cut back the amount of oxygen that the preemies received without hurting their survival, but greatly reducing the incidence of blindness. So that was a great achievement. In a more basic science sense, also in the 1950s, a group of neuroscientists, including David Hubel and Torsten Wiesel, went on to do work involving the structure of the brain that led to a Nobel Prize. In the 1970s, Wilmer was really at the forefront of the development of the argon laser, which really was the first effective means by which to treat diabetic retinopathy. Diabetics can get very bad disease in the retina that can result in blindness, and the timely application of the argon laser greatly reduced their blindness. I'm going to turn now to something totally different, since I want your listeners to understand that the breadth of Wilmer's achievements is really quite astonishing. In the 1980s, one of our faculty members, Al Summer, was doing research on malnutrition in Indonesia and was working with vitamin A supplementation, because vitamin A deficiency was a real problem. Anyway, what he happened to find was not only was he able to reduce the amount of eye problems that resulted from vitamin A deficiency, but also the mortality rate from overall causes was decreased as well. So this was an example of a project that was designed for the eyes, but had implications for survival in general. Coming on into the 20th century, just to go over a few more highlights, and as I said, I could go on for a long time about this. I want to talk about work that my colleague of 30 years and personal friend Don Zach has done in a basic science laboratory, which is he's been able to create a model of the human retina in a dish, just from primary components. And this is a tool that will allow he and his colleagues to make great strides in a better understanding of the retina to treat a whole myriad of eye disease. And finally, my colleague Megan Collins and others have looked into whether by providing glasses for school children in Baltimore City, whether that could greatly affect their development and academic progress. And yes, a lot of kids without glasses, you find who they are, you give them the glasses, and voila, they're learning better, they're doing better. So I think at that point,
fantastic.
I will stop and let you get a word in.
Okay, well, that's a whole lot of work that's been done over the years, and I'm sure that anybody who's an Oddfellow is probably very proud of having a role. I mean, obviously, it's not our achievements, right? But obviously, we have are part of the success. So we're all, I'm sure, very glad to be part of that success. And so I understand that you're actually called the Oddfellows Professor. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Although
Oh, that's really
I
neat.
will, on a good day, I will, on a good day, I will include the Rebeccas. They belong there.
Okay, right. So can you tell us a little bit about like what the most challenging part of your role at the Wilmer Eye Institute? I mean, I know that there's probably a lot of cutting edge technologies that you're, developing, and then maybe you'd like to, see. Like I know that gene therapy is something that's kind of been a hot topic for a while, and has helped certain causes and in terms of curing people. Is that something that's on your plate in the future? Could you tell us, like, really, what's your biggest challenge?
Right. So my challenge probably is not quite that lofty. My challenge is a balancing act, because most of us wear several hats, and I have an important role still in patient care. I trained as a medical doctor, and so I still have a very important allegiance to seeing patients and operating on patients. As you may know, there is a program between the Oddfellows and Wilmer that Oddfellows or Rebeccas who have difficult eye problems do have the option to be seen at the Wilmer Institute if, after review of records, I think it might be helpful to them. No sense in them making them travel a long way if there really is no reason to. So I've got my clinical obligations. Teaching obligations are something that all of us take very seriously to train the next generation of eye doctors and vision researchers. So we train medical students, residents in ophthalmology, and my subspecialty being glaucoma, I also train glaucoma fellows. A third part of what I do is administration, and senior faculty, which I'm definitely a senior faculty member at this point, are needed to make sure that the Wilmer Institute runs effectively so it can achieve its missions of teaching, research, and education. And then finally, I have a mentoring role as well. And I will mention at this point that through the generosity of the Odd Fellows, we are on the cusp of appointing a second Odd Fellows professor. This is a more junior faculty member who will be brought in with the expectation that she, because we know who it's going to be, will rapidly move up to the very top of her profession. So I mentioned administration, teaching, clinical, and mentorship, and I didn't even get around to the research, which I did more of early in my career, and I'm doing more handing off at this point.
Okay, well, awesome. So could you tell us a little bit about like what your, I know that you said that it's like you're wearing a lot of hats and obviously, you're balancing a lot of priorities. So like what's a really good, day for you at Wilmer? Like, is there anything recently that sticks out in your mind as like, wow, you're really glad that this is what you do?
Well, sure, we could put together we could put together an extraordinary day. Okay, I can't say I've ever had this day, but that would be a good one. Well, how about it's a Tuesday. It's going to be a patient day, and I get in there, and there's an email saying that one of our top students has gotten a prestigious spot in a great residency. Okay, so that would be a great way to start the day. Then maybe I have a couple of extremely happy postoperative patients from the day before who already can see better than they were before surgery. And then that would be great. The day is finishing up, and Kathy Engelmeyer sends me an email saying, "Hey, do you know you just received a nice donation?" Well, that would be a pretty great day.
That's really great. So can you tell us a little bit about like what's on your plate, like right now? Is there anything that's like on the horizon for you that, and by the way, thank you for mentioning that you're going to have this junior Oddfellow professor. Is the assumption correct that that person will be taking over the role that you have now eventually? How can you tell us more about that?
So I don't think those details have been worked out, and it
Okay.
depends. I think um, timing would be key, and I just don't know. I'm not planning on relinquishing the reins anytime soon, but you never know. So I think we'll have to see. But the Oddfellows Endowment um, really has grown over the years. I mean, it's been around since the 1960s, and it's been added to generously by the Oddfellows, both in 2017, I believe it was, and then a nice additional gift to expand things just this past summer at the Cincinnati meeting. So it really is a testimony to the Oddfellows' ongoing generosity. So, I think what's in store for me over the next several years is probably to make sure that I can continue to be hopefully a role model to others, to continue to mentor, and to continue to provide excellent patient care. I wear one large external hat to the Wilmer Institute, and that is that I am the editor in chief of the major journal in my subspecialty, glaucoma. And this has been a rewarding but time consuming additional activity for me. And even after I retire, I hope that I can look at the next Oddfellows professor, and maybe there'll be two of them because one will replace me and there'll be the other one there
Right.
as well, and be proud of whatever legacy that I've been able to continue for this very beautiful relationship.
Yeah, no, it's really great that like you're only the third, right? The third, did I count correctly?
The
Oddfellows professor.
third in
Mhm.
58 years. Yeah.
Wow, gosh, that's really, really pretty amazing. And so, by the way, I think that this whole time we haven't really mentioned anything about how much it is that the Oddfellows have been contributing to all of that great research, uh, patient care, education, all of the things that it is that you do, that we help the Wilmer Eye Institute do in our, part of the overall funds that are, contributed to Wilmer so that you can do all of those great things. What are some of the figures that we could toss around? You said that there was an addition this past year.
That's fine. I didn't mention the numbers, but I'm happy to, and I'm well
Sure.
aware of them.
I actually not entirely sure, so I just figured I would give you the opportunity to tell us.
Right. So, on a base of what I think was about $3.5 million, the Odd Fellows presented me a check in Baltimore in 2017 for $1 million,
Wow.
and a check for an additional $500,000 in Cincinnati last August.
Mhm.
So you can do the math there, and it's just a beautiful amount of principal. I mean, nobody spends the principal, but off of that principal, interest is generated, which provides, funding in perpetuity. That's what an endowed chair is all about. So the Odd Fellows money will never run out. It will always be there to help further vision research, mentoring, and education. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm glad that you provided a little more detail with it, because I know that, like, if anybody goes to the Independent Order of Odd Fellows website and they see that, we support the Wilmer Eye Institute, that, there really isn't that much information that, like, it kind of explains, how it works. So I think that at least with anybody who watches this video, they have a better sense. They'll have a face that they can relate to in terms of, who is the Odd Fellows professor. So they'll at least be able to see who you are and have you have an opportunity to hear you talk about it. So I'm really glad that you took the time to talk with me today so that we could share this information with everybody and make it accessible.
Yeah, well, it's been a whole lot of fun for me.
Good.
And I'm hoping to, in person, attend future Odd Fellows gatherings.
Okay. Well,
I did make it. I made it to Cincinnati. There was a little lull in the pandemic over the summer,
right.
So I was able to sneak out there and back, and everybody looked healthy and safe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we've got this partnership with you. And of course, I can't speak on behalf of all Odd Fellows, but I'm sure that there's an awful lot of people that really appreciate what it is that you're doing. And, with all of the research and the care that you're providing and education, of course, I think that this is a fantastic thing that the Odd Fellows are doing. And I'm certainly a supporter and a fan. So again, thank you for taking the time to come on today and give us a bit of an insight into what it is that Wilmer Eye Institute is all about, and an opportunity for people to see and hear the Odd Fellows professor.
Okay, well, we appreciate all the good work that you and all the Odd Fellows nationally and worldwide continue to do.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And maybe we will see you around at a future Sovereign Grand Lodge meeting someday.
Sounds like fun. Okay.
All right.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye.